Hello everyone, welcome. So in last video we looked at what is random variable. Can we do few numerical problems to have a good understanding of random variable? Yes, this is what we are going to do in this video. So let's have a look at this question. What it is saying, an experiment consists of rolling a die and flipping a coin. So what we are doing, we are rolling a die and flipping a coin. So this is our experiment. Now as we have seen, we could have a random variable associated to that experiment, and this is what that is given in the question, that x is a random variable that is associated with this experiment. And what is happening inside this x, or how this x will map the outcome of an experiment to real number, this information is given here. So we will go one by one and we will try to understand what we have gone through in the last video. So what's the experiment we are doing? We are rolling a die and flipping a coin. If I ask you what will be the all possible outcome or the sample space for this particular experiment, then you should be able to list all those outcome or give me the sample space. What will be the sample space? So with the head we will have maybe 1, and with the head we will have 2, with the head we will have 3, with the head we will have 4, with the head we will have 5, and so on. And similarly, since we are tossing a coin, so there is a possibility that we can also get the tail, and with this tail we will have all the combination of the die roll 2, right? I think this is pretty much clear here, right? So these are the possible outcome, or you can say these are the sample space of our experiment. Now what's the role of random variable? So random variable is a function that maps the sample space to some real number, right? So this x, let's say the random variable x, what it is doing, it will take some input. And what's the input to this random variable? The input to this random variable will be outcome of the experiment. So what's the outcome? So these are the total possible outcomes. So anyone could be input to this random variable x, right? So this will go inside this and it will produce some output that will map onto the real line, right? And how it is doing, that information is given here, that we need to read and we need to get the information that how this mapping is happening here, right? So basically this could be even directly, you can have the functions that will be given in the question, or maybe it will be descriptive like this, that how it is mapping all those possible outcome to some real number, right? So this information you will have given in the question. You do not have to worry that how this is doing, and so these information you will have given in the question. Okay, now let's read further information, that what is the mechanism of this random variable, that how it is mapping to all these possible outcome. So a coin head outcome corresponds to positive value of x that are equal to the numbers that shows up on the die. So you can read the question from here, let random variable be a function x chosen, इस तरह से इसको चूज किया गया सच दैट जब भी हेड आएगा, ठीक है, जब भी हेड आएगा, अगर आउटकम, जैसे कि आपने एक्सपेरिमेंट किया, यू हैव डन द एक्सपेरिमेंट एंड आफ्टर डूइंग द एक्सपेरिमेंट लेट्स सपोज यू गेट दिस आउटकम, राइट? सो you can put this outcome as an input to this random variable, right? And what this random variable will do, this will take input, right? And it will map according to this statement, where this will map, where this outcome will get mapped. this outcome will get mapped to on the real line at 1, right? So let me let's call that whatever the value random variable is taking, let's call this as little x, right? So this will go input to this x, and according to information given in our question, this will get mapped to 1, right? So in the question it is given that जब भी आपका हेड आएगा, तो अगर किसी भी हेड आएगा, कोई भी आउटकम में जिसमें हेड आ रहा है, तो आपको जब ये इनपुट लेगा ये रैंडम वेरिएबल, देन यू हैव टू मैप वट एवर वी हैव गॉट on the die. Let's suppose we did the experiment and we got this outcome. We flip the coin and we get the head, and we roll the die and get the 1. So according to given this information where this will map, so this random variable will take this as an input and it will map whatever we have got on the die. So we have got 1, so that is why it is mapping it to 1. So basically here the functionality or the function could be anything that will be given in the question, right? Maybe in this form, or directly it will be given you as the function. We will see such kind of example also. Alright, so this is the one of the possibility. So maybe we will do the experiment and we will get this outcome, right? So this will take as a input, the random variable take this as a input, and it will where it will get mapped, since we have got the 2 on the die, that is why it is going to map 2, right? And from where I am getting this information? It is given in the question. For every other question you will have the different functionality of the random variable, right? And again, similarly, I think you must have understood that if we do the experiment, if we get this as an outcome, then this random variable take the input and it will produce, and it will map this to 3, and this will get mapped to 4, and this will get mapped to 5, and this will get mapped to 6, right? And whenever we are getting tail, then how it is mapping? So a coin tail outcome corresponds to negative value, so it is going to map to negative value. Let's suppose हम लोगों ने experiment किया and we got this outcome tail, and on the die we get the 1. Where this will get mapped? It will take as an input and it will get to some negative number. That information is given, that negative value of x that are equal to magnitude of the twice the number that shows up on the die. Suppose we have got that on the die 1, then it will be at twice the negative number. So 1 we have got, so 1 into minus 1, so this will get mapped to minus 1, sorry, twice of the negative number, so it will get mapped to, so this outcome will get mapped to, so it will take this as an input, and this is going to map at minus 2. And where this will get mapped? So this will go into the input, and this will get dice, what we have got on the dice, 2, right? And according to our given information, 2 times minus 2, that this will get mapped to minus 4, and this will get mapped to minus 6, and this will get mapped to minus 8, and this will get mapped to minus 10, and this will get mapped to minus 12, right? Okay, so here x maps the sample space here, random variable x maps the sample space of 12 elements into 12 values of x from -12 to 6. Let's look at one more example. So what's the experiment first? So an experiment where the pointer, so this is the pointer on a wheel of chance, so this is the wheel of chance, is spoon. So what we are doing, we are spinning this pointer, right? So this pointer could take any of the value from 0 to 12, right? And this is the continuous value that it can take. So maybe pointer can stop here or here or here, maybe anywhere. So what this pointer what's the sample space here? So the what's the experiment here? The experiment is here that we are spinning this pointer. So pointer could take any value from 0 to 12. So if I ask you that if this is the experiment, then what will be the sample space? So sample space will be the set of number that is from 0 to not exactly 0, but from 0 to 12, right? It can take any number from this. So this is our sample space, right? So all the possibilities is this, right? Because maybe pointer could stop here or here or here, anywhere, right? Now we have one associated random variable, that is x, right? The possible outcome are number from 0 to 12 marked on the wheel, and we have this random variable that is associated to this experiment. That random variable is x, and if you see here, we have given this function that is s. Let me first of all discuss this one. So this is random variable x, and what is this? This is also random variable, that but we have explicitly here mentioned that what input it is taking. So this input is nothing but the s, that is all the possible outcome. So and it is producing some output according to whatever the functionality we have given. So what's the function here? S square, right? So maybe so we can get any of number from 0 to 12, right? So maybe we can get this 3, right? So we did the experiment, we spin the pointer and we get this 3, right? So we did the experiment and outcome is 3. So this random variable x will take this 3, and what's the input where it will get mapped, where this particular outcome will get mapped. So that depends on what is happening inside the random variable, and it is given that whatever the input we are getting into this, that will get that will get square of it, right? If we are getting 3, then this will get mapped to somewhere 9, right? And let's suppose we carry out again experiment, and maybe we will get some 6 this time, right? We can get any number from 0 to 12, right? So we get this 6, and where this 6 will get mapped, this will take as an input to this random variable, and this will get mapped to, so 6 will get mapped to 36, right? So if we have these number of possibilities, these are the possibilities, so all these are going to mapped according to this mapping, right? So minimum, we have the minimum that this random variable can take as a input, that is slightly greater than 0, that is 0, so that will get mapped to, so this random variable, so random variable output will be from where to where. Minimum it can take 0, slightly greater, and up to 12, so up to 144, right? So let's call this as x, that whatever the random variable is taking. So random variable can take any number from 0 to 144, right? What's the input of, so take care of this statement, that what I am saying, that what random variable will take. So random variable will take, that means I am saying that about the output. So random variable can take from 0 to 144, right? And what's the input to the random variable? So all the possible outcome of the experiment. So we do the experiment, and according to our mapping functionality, we see that how random variable is mapping that particular outcome. So we looked at all possible outcome, and we saw that if random variable is taking all this possible outcome, then random variable can take the value from 0 to 144, right? I think that should be clear to you, that what is random variable and how it is operating. I'll tell you one more point, that it is not necessary that the sample space points map uniquely. What does I mean? Let's suppose we do an experiment where we are rolling a die. So what's the possible outcome if we are doing that experiment? All the possible outcome are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are the possible outcome, right? And we have some associated random variable with this experiment. Let's call this maybe let's call this as let's call this random variable as a y, right? So it may happen that this could be one of the case, that this 1 will get mapped to some value, let's say a, and again this 2 will also get mapped to some value, again this 2 will also get mapped to a, or this 3 will get mapped to somewhere b, or this 4 will get mapped to somewhere c, and maybe these 2 will get mapped to somewhere d. So what's the point here? The point is here, it is not necessary that the sample space points map uniquely. So these two are mapping to one point a, right? And these two are mapping to one point as is at d. So it is not necessary कि आप हमेशा बोलो कि ये 1 जो होगा कहीं a पे मैप होगा, और ये 2 जो होगा कहीं somewhere a1 पे मैप होगा. This is not necessary, right? So outcome of an experiment can be mapped onto the same value. This is the one point. Now in extreme case में हम ऐसा भी बोल सकते हैं कि जैसे कि हमने experiment किया, and let's call this experiment that we are rolling a die. So again, what will be the possible outcome? That will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So and let's say that we have our random variable that is z, right? So in extreme case, what could be happen? This can also be that all these outcomes will map. So how this mapping is happening, we do not have to worry, but let's say all these outcomes so will get mapped to at one point, let's say at maybe at 2. Let's call this small z and this is small y, right? So you got my point. If you say that this, let's suppose we do a experiment where we are rolling a die and we have this possible outcome, then let's say y is the random variable associated to this experiment, and so the mapping could not be multi-valued. What does it mean? It means that let's say we are saying that this 1 is getting mapped to this a, and again we are saying that again this 1 is getting mapped to this b. So this cannot be happened. an outcome of an experiment cannot be multi-valued. It means we cannot map this one outcome to different value.